everybody. How's everyone doing today?
Great.
I'm meeting. Good morning. There's a lot of you here. I know there's still a few people coming in, so I'm just going to cue it off with what our outline looks like for today. Today we're going to do a deep dive into designs. I think everybody here, almost everybody here is from our Market Center. So I'm Amy Stack. I am the marketing coordinator for the Glen Ellen Market Center. And then I have my email in the background if anybody has questions. It's amystack@e2psuccess.com. And today we're going over command designs beyond the basics. So we'll be going over some deep dive, fun, extra pro tips. So I'm not going to be going over any of the basics of adding text and importing images or anything like that. I'm going into some of the more fun things like how to use the shapes, how to make them solid or outlines, how to apply photo filters. We're going to talk about where we can find stock photos that are professional photos that International has provided for us, how to add in neighborhood snapshots, and how to manage some opacity settings. And that's all in a regular design. One thing that's really cool with a feature of designs is that you can actually import PDFs. So if you find something somewhere else that you really like and you want to kind of make it your own, whether it's a template for a graphic or a brochure or a flyer, or it's something that is a form that you want to customize a little bit to make it fit your business, you can upload those into designs and it will unlock the design for you so that you can go ahead and edit it, which until now has really been something you could only do with a program like Adobe Pro that you would have to pay for. So that's a really cool feature that's included in designs now. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And what I'm planning on doing is just kind of walking through some of the features and more of a tutorial style. And then after that, we can go through and do some workshopping if you guys have run into any issues with it. Sound good? Yep. All right. Then I am going to share my screen really quick here. Make sure I click the right one. There we go. Can everybody see that? Get some thumbs ups? Yeah, I'm seeing some head nods. Okay, perfect. So I am in Command right now. I've just logged in. I'm on the main dashboard. The first thing I want to show you guys today is how to get those PDFs into the system so that you can edit them for your own use as well. And the reason I'm doing that first is because it's kind of a different step than all those other things. So I want to do that one right away. And to do that, you just go into your design applet on the left. And I'm just going to hit the big plus sign to say I want to start a new design. And I'm going to choose the button that says Import PDF. So that's when you guys already have something that you want to update and it's not in an editable format for you. It does have to be a PDF. It can't be a JPEG or PNG or anything. There are some websites out there that will do the conversion for you, but that is the only format it will take. So go ahead and click that Import PDF button and then select Next. And it's going to bring you into your design library. And right in the middle here, we have a section that says Import PDFs, drag and drop. So I have one on my desktop that I'm going to use as an example. It's actually an old career night flyer. So you see I'm just dragging it into the place here, into that gray box. I'm going to let it go. And in the bottom right, you can see that it's uploading. Sometimes this does take a little bit of time, depending on how big the file is. You can see that it's popped up here, and we've got the thinking circle. And most frequently, you will see a little triangle there saying that there's something going on with that design that you're going to have to give the computer some more information to be able to help convert that for you. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that design, and if it's ready, it'll tell me what's going on. Okay, so it's still processing, which is fine. While it's doing that, I want to point out that when I'm in this section of designs, you can see you have the opportunity to start from blank. So if you want to start with a blank page of any design, you can just hit that start button there, and you'll get an option a whole list of options here for what it is you want to design. So if you are designing something for Instagram, you click that and it will open in the correct sizes for you. Same thing with all these other options here. And you also have the custom size option. So if you're doing something that's not a traditional templated size and you know what size you need, you can go ahead and click that custom size and tell it what you want. And you can choose pixels or inches, centimeters, millimeters, whatever you want. So that's a fun little feature too. But it looks like our flyer is loaded in here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And you can see my error that I got, why that red triangle came up, is it says that it's missing some fonts. So Command doesn't have every single font that's out there in the world. So it's identified that these fonts are in that file and Command doesn't have that. So I'm just going to click Replace All and then choose from my fonts that are already inside Command. I could go through these individually and choose a different font for all of them. I'm just going to make them all be the same font so they all match. So I'm going to choose click from my library of fonts, and then these are all the fonts that are available in Command. So there's a lot to choose from. I'm going to go ahead and choose Roboto, Slab Light, and then I just hit continue. So what that's doing is it's switching out the fonts for us right now. The next thing it's going to ask you is what size you want your new file to be in, or what metric you want it to be measured in. So like I said, this is a flyer, so I know it's an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, so I want to use inches. If you're doing something on social media, you're going to want to do pixels, something that's going online. I don't really use millimeters and centimeters that much. It just depends on, again, what your end game for this specific piece is. So I'm going to go ahead and choose inches and hit continue, and it'll take a minute. And here we go, we have a preview of it. I'm just going to double click it and it will open that file up for me. So now you can see I'm actually in the design platform where I can start to edit things. This file was my original PDF. You can see that it's a PDF in Adobe right here. That's what I imported in there. And I can't edit this unless I have special design software, which I do, but most of you guys don't. So you would just see it like this and you wouldn't be able to change any of the text or images on it. So now that have this file in designs, you can see that I can click on the different elements. I can move them. I could delete the text. I could change the colors. If I don't like this image, I can delete that image and put a different one in. So I just wanted to show you that that's how that PDF converter works. So just keep that in mind, that if you see something out there that you really like, or somebody has sent you a file to use, but it's in a PDF format and you can't edit it, you can upload it right into Designs here, and it will give you the ability to edit. You'll notice that sometimes the formatting will get a little off. You see how this word is off the black square here, and that's because we converted that text font. So the font might be a little bit bigger. So you can resize it, or you can maybe want to hit enter here to put that word on the next line. And you'll see that every now and then, so that didn't all come in as one text box. It came in as 2 text boxes. So you'll run into stuff like that every now and then, but it's still easier than recreating the entire file from scratch. Okay? So that's all I wanted to go over with how to import those PDFs and how you can convert them to make them editable for you. So I'm just going to go back to Designs. I don't need to save anything. I didn't really make any changes. And now I'm going to show you actually in Designs how to do some of those extra special features. So I've started a draft already called Design Class Example here, but I just wanted to show you guys again that if you were starting from scratch, you would click this Start button and choose what size you want, or put in your custom size. I did a flyer or letter, and you can see as I hover over that, it's telling me it's an 8.5 by 11 and it's in inches. And so that ended up opening up a blank window for me. I've put this in here already because I want to show you how to recreate it. So when I clicked that originally, I got just a blank page, and I've added all of this onto my blank page already. One really cool feature about starting your own design from scratch is that you now have this pages button down here. So if any of the designs you were looking at that were a template were multiple pages, you would see this button at the bottom. However, if it's just a one-page design, you don't have the option to add a second page to it. So what's cool about uploading your own, or I mean, excuse me, not uploading, creating your own from scratch is that you'll always have that ability to make extra pages. So I'm going to click that pages button. And the reason that would come in handy is obviously if it needs to be a multiple page document, you want that feature. But let's say you liked the design you came up with and you wanted to tweak it, but you didn't necessarily want to get rid of your first design. If you click that pages button, it'll show you a list of everything you've created. I only have the one right now. And then if I click this little down arrow that says show menu, I have a couple of options here. I can copy it or I can hit a plus sign. So if I hit the plus sign, it's just going to add a blank page for me. So now you see my page options. I have one with my design already in it and a brand new blank one that's totally from scratch. The other thing you can do is click that button and hit copy. And it just makes me an exact duplicate. So if I want to edit one version and keep my original version, I can do that and I don't have to recreate the entire piece from scratch. So today, if you want to delete one, you just hit the little trash can. Yes, I want to delete. I'm going to show you how I created this, and I've used all of those elements that I mentioned at the beginning of the class, all those different features to make this graphic. So I'm going to kind of go between my two pages here. So this is my original. I'm going to go ahead to my blank page here. You just double click it. Maybe. Doesn't want to go. That's okay. You can also use these buttons here to go left and right to toggle between your different pages. And there's my blank page. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you guys is that big image that was in the background there.
Sorry about that, Amy. I'm seeing both two screens, one your face and the other one. How can I just select one big screen on your monitor?
I think you probably have to click show presenter screen, maybe. It's a zoom setting on your side.
Okay.
Did that work?
I just saw the drop down and the full screen. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so we have our blank page, and I want to add a picture to it. And one of the things that most people haven't realized, because it's a newer feature, is that International has actually preloaded Command with a whole bunch of professional photography for us. So I'm going to do one thing really quick. I'm just going to click that. If you are in any part of designs, we have our little editing buttons on the left. You don't always see the image button. For example, right now we see template, text, icon, and logo. There's nothing that says images. But if you click on the image that's in there, that button automatically appears. So we have My Library, Company, and Add at the top. Add, most of you have probably used before. That's how you upload your own images into the system. And then My Library is where anything that you've put in your library will be stored. The Company button actually has, well, let's see, 5 folders in here that have preloaded images that Keller Williams has provided for you. So these ones, the app ones, are specifically related to the new consumer app. You click those 3 little dots and it will show you all the folders again. So we've got some neighborhood photos, different styles of houses inside and out. We've got some activity photos, lifestyle. You can see we've got some really cool family shots in there. And then we also have at home, so it's showing people in their homes. And there's a bunch of these to choose from in each folder. The one that I showed you on my original design came out of house types, I believe. So we're going to see some interiors and exteriors here. This is the photo I chose, that really cool dining room shot. I'm gonna delete this one, we don't need that. So I just click my dining room shot and I'm gonna resize it. Doesn't want me to resize it, here we go. So I'm gonna resize it. And you'll notice that this is really wide now, whereas my image in the original one I showed you is tall and skinny. It's a narrow shot. So all you have to do is click on your image and you'll get the dots in the corners and some bars on the sides. And you can just click and drag and it will resize that image for you. So I went from a widescreen or wide lens shot to a long, narrow one. Okay, and you can do the same thing if you want to make it shorter, you can do that as well. So that is how we find the professional photos, and you just click it to add it in, and we still have the capability if you click on this and hover over any of the other photos, if you hit that circular arrow to replace image, it will just swap out the image that's in there, so you don't have to then resize it. I'm just going to hit back so I have that same image. The next thing you'll notice is that my image on this page is black and white. It's not in color. One of the newer features in Command Designs right now is that you can add filters to your photos. So now that I have the image selected, I have some menu options up at the top here. One of them is filters. So I can go ahead and click that filter button, and it's going to show me a whole bunch of options that I have. And so if I click on one, you'll see how the image changes just below the options. The one I did in my original example was grayscale. So now my picture is in grayscale and I'm going to hit apply. And now it's in black and white on my design. You do have the option here as well. Once again, you select your image and you get this menu bar at the top. You have the option to change the opacity. You can also do this on shapes. I'll show you that in a little bit. So if you click opacity, right now we're at 100%, which means that this is, if you put something behind it, it wouldn't show through at all. I can drag this dial and make it a lighter opacity. So if I really want it to be more of a background image, I could drag that down. Like that's really, that's nothing, you can't see it. But if you just wanted it to be very faint and in the back, you could use that tool to do that. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at 100%. And I'm gonna go back to the original and we'll see what we wanna add next. I'm gonna add this bar across the top here, this red box. I'll go back to our working design. I don't have anything selected right now, and you can see our menu at the top here. There's 4 options. I'm gonna go ahead and click shapes. And then I have this square I'm gonna choose that we can resize that into a rectangle as well. So I just clicked on it and it chose the color for me and everything. So as I click on the image, the shape that's been dropped in there, I get my menus bar changes again at the top. And we have, again, our opacity filter, we have our solid color, and we have our outline, so the outside of the box. Plus we have our stroke style. So if you want the outline to be thicker, you use this little slider. I'll show you that in a little bit. And you can also make your image have dashed lines if you prefer, or this one's kind of like a faint chalky line, little dots. So I'm not going to change the dots on this right now. I am going to change the color. I had it red. My library colors here. So these are all your KW standard colors. If you hit library, you'll have that. I'm going to make it red. And now you can see, if you look really close, there's actually an outline of that original blue. So I've only changed the inside of my shape right now. So I'm going to click on it again. You see, here's the outline color. I'll choose that, and I'm going to make that red as well. So now my whole shape is red, the inside and the outside. I'm going to put it at the edge of my paper and drag it all the way to the other side. And I'm going to make it a little bit more skinny. And now you can see when I look at my original design, it's pretty similar. However, this design, the red is not as bright and bold, right? The way I change that, you just click on your shape, I did that in the opacity settings. So I click on my opacity icon that opens up at the top after I select my shape. And I'm just going to drag this dial down to 50. You can make it whatever you want. You can also type right into this box if you want, if you don't want to play with the slider. All right, so now we have it set at 50, and it's the same opacity as my original design. And I just added a text box, so I click the text on the left, which most of you guys have done this before. I'm just going to choose subtitle and change my color at the top from black to white. And I don't even remember what I said. Looking for your dream home. So I'm just going to type that in there.
Amy, where'd you get looking for your dream home? Just typing it in? You're
Yep.
not dragging it from somewhere?
Nope, I'm just typing it in there. Okay. And then obviously this is much bigger. I'm going to show you a couple other things. I'm going to resize this because I want to show you a neat trick. I'm going to make this a little smaller. Let's make it 42. And now you see how my home is on the second line? If I drag my text box over a little, it all pops into the same line. Now, how do you know that this is centered? So like that's not centered in the red box. You can all see that that's pushed off to the left, right? I'm going to click on the text. And over on the right, you guys will always have these icons over here. The second one over says arrange. And if I click on that, it opens up a new menu for me. So the ones at the very bottom will actually arrange it. So this will put whatever you have selected in the middle of the page vertically, so up and down. This one will put it in the middle of the page horizontally, so left and right. And that's what I want to do. I want to center it left and right. So I want it right where it is vertically on the page, but I want to make sure it's centered right in the middle. So I'm going to click on that horizontal middle, and you can see that it's snapped right into place. So I don't have to mess around with trying to figure out, is it exactly evenly spaced on both sides of that text box? The other thing you can do is when you come over to File on the top left, you'll see a little drop down pop up. And one of the options is Show Grid. So if I click Show Grid, oops, I didn't mean to click that. Let's undo that. Show Grid. I don't know why. It's usually, it's supposed to go over the whole screen. I'm not sure why it's not doing that right now. I'm going to zoom in. And you can see this grid. We'll try it again in a little bit, but that grid should overlay the entire graphic. So then you can see exactly where you need to line things up. If you want it to all line up on the same line, you can leave that grid overlay on there. I'm going to zoom back out a little bit. I'll take the grid off. We'll try that again in a little while, see if that's popping up the right way. All right, so we've done our image, our stock photos, and our filters, and we've added a solid image and made it a little bit opaque. I'm gonna go back to my original design. You can see in the background here, I have this outline, this little box, but it's behind the image, right? My photography here. I'm going to go ahead and add that piece in now. That is also a shape, so I have nothing selected, and my menu bar at the top says Shapes. I'm going to choose Shapes again, and I'm going to click that same square that I clicked the first time. You can see it remembered the colors I changed this shape to. I'm going to drag it where I want it. We'll make a little box. Okay. Now there's a couple of issues we have with this. Obviously it's not the color we want. If we're making it match the original one, it's on top of my photo and it's solid. The one that I had on the original design, you can see it's behind the image and it's just an outline. There's no color inside the square. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. Okay, so I select my shape. I'm going to change my colors back to black. Okay, so there's my solid black box. Now, if you click your shape and click the fill color, so that's the circle that's totally filled in, at the bottom, next to the apply button, you'll see it's like a gray box with some hashes in it. If you click that, that will actually make the inside of your shape transparent. It will be clear. So I selected that box and then I'm gonna hit apply. Did you guys all catch that? So anytime you see this grid that's a gray and white grid, that means that whatever you're looking at is going to be transparent. There will be no color there. I'm gonna go ahead and hit apply. And now you can see I have just an outline of a box. This outline is pretty thick, so maybe I want to change that, or maybe I want to make it dotted or dashed. That's where that stroke item comes into place. Again, you do have to click on the box, and then your menu will pop up. I'm going to click that stroke option, and you can see that the thickness right now is set to 4.93. Maybe I want to just put it at 2, or you can use the slider, whatever you prefer. So I'm going to leave it at 2. And let's say I wanted it to be a dashed line. See how now it's dashed instead of solid? I'll click on it again. I do want it to be a solid line. So I'm going to click stroke. You can see there's different options. So that's a different type of dash. I click on it. I'm going to put it back to that solid line. Okay. So now we're looking pretty similar to the my original design, right? You can see we have the image and I have my box. The only difference right now is that my box on the page I'm designing currently is on top of the photo, and this box is behind the photo. So I'm going to show you how to do that. When you select your element, again, we're going to go back up to that same button that says arrange. So before I showed you how you could position things on the page left and right and top and bottom. Now I'm going to show you how you can actually arrange things from element to element. So anytime you add something to your page, it's going to show up on top of everything else. So I didn't necessarily know that I was going to add this box at the beginning, and I decided later I wanted to add it, which is great, but now it's cutting across my picture, and I don't want that. I want my picture to be on top of that box outline that I created. So there's a couple of things I could do. Right now I have the box selected, and you can see if I hover over these options here, I have send forward, send backward, send to top, and send to bottom. So the difference between these options, so send forward and send to top, means if you have a bunch of things layered on each other and you do send forward, it will only move it up one layer. So if we have, let's say we have 3 layers, right? And I click on this image here and I say send forward, it's going to move it like this. If I have all 3 images and I click on the bottom one and I say send to top, it's going to move it like this. So it'll come all the way on top. So that's what I want to actually do the opposite of that. I want to move this all the way to the bottom. So I have my square selected, and I'm going to do this one right here that says send to bottom. And now you can see it went behind. So the bar no longer cuts across my photo. And that's how you can play around with the layers and make sure that you have what image or element you want on top, and you can send other ones behind it. So we're pretty close to being done here. We've got our bar and our text, our image, and that box in the background. I'm going to show you how to get this snapshot in here. So when you click on an image, your menu bar on the left will change a little bit, and you'll see this option that says KWLS. So if I go ahead and click on that, it shows a menu that right now nothing is in because I don't have a listing selected. If I wanted to add a specific listings information to this design, I could type in an MLS number, I could search by address, I could do any of these things and pull up images from the MLS and the KWLS to put right into this design. Right now I actually want to pull in a snapshot though, so that's the listing option here. Just to the right, you'll see the button that says snapshot. And I can, you guys remember the Kelly Snaps and your monthly neighborhood nurtures and how you can pick a neighborhood for somebody something that they want to find information on. I can search those same neighborhoods here. So again, this isn't necessarily based on zip code. It can be, you can put a zip code in, but you can get granular and use those next door neighborhoods to find information on that specific radius that you're interested in showing. So I'm gonna try, I think Western Trail is one. Maybe it's Great Western Trail. Oops, not train. There we go. Okay, so Great Western Trail is a neighborhood in Villa Park. And if I click the little red arrow, it's gonna open up some options for me. It'll take a second for them to load, but we'll have a couple of different snaps that we'll be able to include if we desire. So you can see there's 3 different formats. This is the one we saw on my original design. This one just shows a map. There's no stats on it, but it highlights nicely what that area is. So the blue area is the neighborhood, and it's got kind of that magnifying glass filter around it, and it lists what the name of that neighborhood is. The third option is, again, a snap, but it's vertical instead of horizontal. So the one I chose for my original design was this horizontal snap. All I have to do is click on it, and it'll pop right on to my design. I'm going to resize it a little bit and drag it into the bottom corner there. And now I've added my snap in there. And that's it. That's all you have to do to add those snapshots. So if any of these you wanted to add in, you would just click on it and it would pop in, and you can just resize it from the corners. I don't want it, so I'm just going to delete that one. But that's pretty much the same sign. So that's how I did all those fun extra tools, how you use them. I'm going to try that grid one more time to see if it pops up the right way now. It's still not wanting to cooperate. So this grid should be going all the way across the entire design, so that if I were to zoom in and let me try the grid with already being zoomed in. Oh, it doesn't want to work for us today. Well, you can see, let's say I want my picture to line up on one of these lines. You can use it to make sure that this is right in line with, I'm trying to point at my screen. That doesn't work. You guys can't see that. I made it line up with this line on the grid right here. So I know, whoops, that anything I line up with that line will match and be even. So maybe I wanted to add text or something. I can make sure that all of my text blocks, all of the outlines of the text line up with that. So see, when I click on this text box here, I can make it line up specifically with this line here. And then if I added another one, let's move that over so it's right on that line. I'm going to duplicate that. Oh, it went down here. And you can see on the left of the words, there's that dashed line. So if I line up that dashed line with my grid, now I know when I turn my grid off that all of that is in a perfectly straight line on the left-hand side. So that's how the grid could come in handy. It just helps you make sure that everything is lined up correctly. I'm gonna get rid of this stuff here, make my image bigger again. You can also use that grid when it's working correctly to make sure that your spacing is even. So see, on my right-hand side of my image, there's a little less space between the image and the box than there is on the left-hand side. So if I were to use that grid and it was showing up over the whole thing, I could make sure that I was the same distance from each line by lining it up with the grid. All right. So those are the features I wanted to show you. I'm going to unmute everybody and see what your questions are. We're about 10:35, so we have, we have some time for questions and answers. Let me, oh, did anybody put anything in the chat? Let me check that too. All
How
right.
are you going to save it now?
Love the snaps. Okay, I'll go over the snaps again. It looks like, oh, Tiffany answered the question, but just in case, when you have the image, any image or snap selected, oh, I'm in it already. Let me get out of it and then I can get back into it. So when you have the image selected, on your menu bar on the left, you'll see KWLS as an option, as a menu option. So I can go ahead and click on that. And usually it pulls up right on the listing first because I was in Snapshots, that pulled up. So usually when you click on the KWLS, you'll be in the listing section already. And if you go to the top and click on Snapshots, that's where you can get all the snapshots to pull into the page. And you can either type in a zip code or a next door neighborhood town here. So I know Lincoln is one in Glen Ellen. And you can see it's going to give me different options. There's a Lincoln in Delaware, there's one in California, Lincoln, Nebraska. So there's lots of Lincolns. Here's Lincoln, Illinois. So if you type in a little bit more, so I want Lincoln, Glen Ellen, now it's bringing up some options. So that brought up Lake Ellen. It did bring up Lincoln, Glen Ellen right here as well. Okay. And you just click the one you want to bring over into the page. Did that help, Angela?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Perfect.
How are you going to save
Your
it
whole
now?
name. That was weird to call you Angela.
No, it just automatically populates that way. I have another question. I hopped on late because I was schooling my children, and I apologize. I have a contractor here, Sandy. But I've done different designs before, but how do you get to see like the pre-populated ones? The only way I can figure out how to get there is on like my home screen, and then there's like the new ones on the right. But how is an easy way to go in and see all the ones that are already populated so you can...
So when you click on any of the images, what you need to do is get to the image option in your menu. And this is probably the screen you're used to seeing where you can upload your own images and see what's already part of the design. But all the way at the top in the middle, there's an option that says company. So if you click on company, it might show you pictures right away. It might give you this screen where it's folders of different types of images.
My question is, so I'm in the main, I'm on like my main menu of commands. I go on the left side, I click designs, and then I have a different screen. It says my design templates with email, landing page, social, print, agent, and then it has designs I've done. So how do I get from that screen to the one you're on?
Oh, so you have to start a design. So this editor won't open until you actually start a design.
Okay.
So if you, let me go back a screen.
So I hit the plus sign and then hit like print and then next.
Or what I had done was I just did one quick way to get to the, let me just start from the beginning here instead of hitting back a bunch of times. Okay, so if you guys are wanting to create a design from scratch or get into your library of designs, when you click designs here, it will automatically open up.
I got it.
And then click on the plus sign. If you hit that import PDF button, that will take you to the library and allow you to do those custom sizings and start with a blank page instead of having to open a design and go back and fiddle with all that stuff. So if you're wanting to start from scratch, just hit that PDF button. That will also allow you to start from a blank page, which is this button here.
Perfect.
And then, Mash, did you have a question too?
Yeah, once you are done, how are you going to save it?
Let me move my chat box here. So it should auto-save while you're working on it, but you can always hit File and then Save.
Okay. So
and
next
then
time,
right here is the name, so you can rename it whatever you want.
got it. So when you will land next time, it will show the same design. It will pop up automatically, right?
It will be in your, so let me go back to, whoops. I'm just going to go back to the command dashboard. So I'm going to hit designs.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of designs, so you can see all kinds of stuff in here. That one that I made was a print design. So if I click print at the top, it'll show me all the print designs I've worked on. So you can see I have 28. At the bottom, it's showing I'm seeing 1 through 12 of 28 designs.
Mm-hmm.
And this first one is the one that I just was working on. So if I clicked it, it would open it again, but I already have it open. So I'm not going to open it again.
Okay, and
Okay.
if you want to open just a completely new one,
So that's where, so you want to, are you asking how to open one from a template or how to open a blank page?
Okay, so from this page, you land, let's say you land on this page. Now you don't want to use any one of these, but you want to start a new one.
Right, but do you want to work off of a template or do you want to start from a completely blank page?
Let's say template.
Okay, so you'll hit the plus sign. Anytime you want to start something new, you'll always hit that plus sign. And then to work from a template, you'll just choose which type of template you want to work from. So most of the time you'll be working off of social or print. So you would click one of those. We've been doing print, so I'll show you social. And then you just hit next, and it will show you your template options.
Thank you.
So on the left, you'll have a whole column of different options. The first one is the app. So these are all social media templates related to the app. If I go into listings, I have a whole bunch of different options. Maybe I want to advertise an open house. I can click on that. And then within open house, I have templates for Facebook, for Instagram, Instagram stories, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So you'll have that type of thing for a lot of them. The pivot shift ahead option is where you can get those Zoom backgrounds like mine. Or you can go click on the Instagram one, and it's got some stuff for the market of the moment. So we've got the market updates, and we've got some cool graphics that you can post about how to quarantine at home, how to take a break, activities for kids that don't involve a screen, budgeting tips. So they're really nice that they've got that all there for you so you don't have to create that content. And I see Lavonda asked if this class is recorded. It is being recorded, so Alex will be able to upload it into our Google Drive. I think he's doing that once a week, so it should pop up next week. And then Tiffany, do you know when all those?
Yolanda was asking, my question is same. Is this recording and we can access this training video?
Yep, so that's what Alex will be putting these in our Google Drive. I think he's uploading them in once a week. So I don't know what day he's doing that, but they'll all be in your KWPP resources folder. There's a training folder, and inside that there's one that's specifically on Zoom, and they've categorized it. So like all my marketing ones will be in one. The Daily Huddle has got its own folder. Cindy's Agent Essentials has a folder. There's an orientation folder. So just make sure you go into your Google Drive and you can start pulling up the Zoom recordings.
Cool.
And then Tiffany said, do you know when those will be available for Facebook and not just Instagram? I don't have any idea on timelines for when designs come out and which formats. However, anything that's formatted for Instagram will also work on Facebook. I like using the Instagram ones for all my platforms except Twitter because they show up really nicely. You can do 4 on Facebook and it shows up in a nice square. Let me pull up an example of that. I'm going to bring in another page over here. So if you use 4 Instagram template, Instagram sized graphics, they're perfect squares. So if you use 4 of them on Facebook, it shows up in a nice little grid. I know there's one here like that. So they all fit in very nicely right on that screen there. Congrats to everybody who's in bold, by the way. I've got my bold shirt on today. Did that help, Tiffany? I don't know if she's still on. Oh yeah, she gave me a thumbs up. Perfect. Okay. Any other questions, you guys? No?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Right here where you have company and then you can get images and things like that, but then once you've got it all designed, how do you get it to your My Library?
You don't.
Oh,
The stuff that's in your library is things that you've uploaded yourself.
oh, you've uploaded it, not designed it in the My Designs.
Oh, correct. Yeah. So all of anything that you've designed will show up in this section. It won't be because that spot that you were looking at, this is just images.
Oh, so if you upload images, they'll be in your library.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want other images, you look at company.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the company ones, these are all stock photos that International has provided for us. Anything under My Library will be something you've uploaded specifically. That's made me think of something else since we have a few minutes. There's a lot of places online you can get photos. A couple of sites that I like that you can get photos that are you don't have to pay for are Unsplash and Pixabay. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like right now. So I'll copy this into the chat. These are some of the ones I use a lot. Unsplash and Pixabay. These are free stock images. You do not have to pay any user rights for these. So they're just little search engines. So let's say I wanted something that was, I don't know, neighborhood. Just type it in the search and you can see I have a whole bunch of neighborhood options.
And these are all
And then I
free?
can just hit this download button. These are all free. Okay. And you don't have to limit it to housing. Like maybe you want to do, yesterday was like Nurse Appreciation Day. Oops. If I want to type in nurse, there's all kinds of stuff in here. You want flowers, who knows, raindrops. You want to do something seasonal, like summer's coming up, I can just type in summer and see what comes up. So all of these are free. That's Unsplash. Pixabay is the same thing, so I'll type in summer there. And you can see we get different images. Maybe something here will spark your interest, and I'm on summer, and I'm like, ooh, sand, beach, palm tree. Then I can search for any of those words too. Ice cream, whatever you want. So that's a little extra bonus for you. So when you do find one of those that you like, if you guys have uploaded pictures before, you'll probably recognize what I'm about to do. But let's say I like this flamingo and I want to use it in my design. I just hit the download button. You can see it's gone right into my download folder there. I'm going to come back into Command. And there's a couple of things I can do. I can just drag that file over my design, and it will automatically upload into the left-hand side there. And then I can click on it, and it will be in my design.
And then it will go into your library after you've uploaded it.
So it won't be in this part of the library. It will be, so there's two different spots. So there's the add section, and then there's the My Library. So these ones are more like company things you would use for any multiple times across multiple graphics. So so for this one, when I'm under add, the stuff that's going to show up in here is stuff that's more like I'm using it for this design. I might not be using it for every other design that I'm using. For My Library, there's usually a button at the bottom. There's usually a button down here that says add as well to add to your library. I'm not sure why it's not showing up right now. But that would be like if you want to put your headshot in there, your logo in there, that's what you would want to put in My Library because then you'd have access to it for every single design that you work on. But yeah, usually there's a button right at the bottom here that says add. Doesn't want to show up right now, apparently. Let's see if I zoom out. No, that doesn't show it up either. All right. Anything else I can help you guys with?